Spring 2018, Banff National Park, Canada. Three experienced backcountry climbers are heading into the mountains to scout ice climbing routes. Their names are Tim Banfield, Maya Schumacher, and Michelle Kadatz. They are not beginners. They know the mountains. Before they leave, all three do something that serious backcountry travelers always do. They check their Avalanche transceivers, small electronic devices worn close to the body that broadcast a signal at all times. If one person is buried, the others switch their devices to search mode and follow the signal to find them. It is the most important piece of equipment any of them carries. They are moving across an open alpine slope when the snow releases above them. There is no warning sound, no crack, just the mountain moving. These are the avalanches that kill the most people, the ones that give you no time at all. Michelle is caught directly in the path. The snow hits her with the force of a moving wall, and she is swept off her feet instantly. She tumbles downward inside thousands of tons of accelerating snow, completely disoriented, unable to breathe, unable to fight it. Tim does not hesitate. He switches his transceiver to search mode and begins running across the debris field. This is the moment every backcountry traveler trains for, and almost never wants to face. After 15 minutes buried in an avalanche, survival rates drop dramatically. After 30 minutes, only 20 to 30% of victims are still alive. The clock is running. Every second counts. The transceiver signal gets stronger. Tim calls Maya over. They begin probing, long metal rods pushed straight down into the snow to find a buried person. The probe hits something solid. The probe reads 4 meters. Tim and Maya look at each other. In standard avalanche rescue training, most successful rescues happen between 1 and 2 meters. 3 meters is considered extremely deep. 4 meters is almost unheard of in a successful companion rescue. 4 meters. That is how deep the probe goes before it hits something. Michelle is under nearly 13 feet of compacted snow. The weight pressing down on her is immense. They have to dig through all of it. They dig, both of them. Shoveling snow out in a relay, one digs, the other moves snow back. The snow is dense and heavy from the impact. This is not loose powder. This is like digging through concrete. Michelle is a professional ski patroller. She knows avalanche protocol better than most. She knows that if she is found, it will be because her friends do everything right. Below the snow in the dark, she tries to remain calm and preserve the small pocket of air around her face. At 4 meters deep, Tim's shovel finds something that is not snow. He digs carefully now. A hand appears, then a shoulder, then Michelle, unconscious but breathing. She had been buried for 22 minutes. Michelle Kadatz survived. She was evacuated and made a full recovery. What happened that day is considered one of the most extraordinary avalanche rescues in recorded history, not because of helicopters or professional teams, but because of 2 friends who ran across a debris field and did not stop. January 2000. A ski resort in the western Austrian Alps. 3 days of heavy snowfall have just ended, leaving the mountain covered in deep, fresh, unstable powder. A 24-year-old snowboarder arrives with 2 friends. The mountain looks perfect, but the avalanche warning is at level 4, very high risk. They go off-piste anyway. 2 of the friends drop into the uncontrolled slope. Within minutes, the slab releases above them. The avalanche sweeps both of them off the mountain at enormous speed. The 3rd friend waits at the bottom. They never arrive. By the time the sun sets, he reports them missing. Rescue teams are deployed onto the mountain, but the slope above the debris field is dangerously unstable. At 11:30 at night, the rescue commander makes the decision no rescuer ever wants to make. The slope above could avalanche again at any moment. Sending teams onto the debris field in the dark would put rescuers' lives at risk. The search is suspended until morning. Somewhere under that snow, 1 or 2 people might still be alive. The rescuers have to leave. The mountain is dark and silent. Nothing moves. The search resumes at 7:30 the next morning. A rescue dog trained to detect human scent through meters of packed snow is brought onto the debris field. At 10:50 in the morning, the dog alerts at a spot on the surface. They find the first snowboarder. He had died from asphyxiation. His airway had blocked, probably within the first 30 minutes of burial. 10 minutes later, the dog alerts at a second location. The team begins to dig. When they reach the second snowboarder, something immediately stands out. His large ski goggles have slipped from his face during the fall. They are now resting over his mouth and nose, and they have created a small sealed air pocket in front of his face. The air pocket created by the goggles measures approximately 2 to 3 liters. Below his body, connected by a hairline crack in the snow, is a small hollow around a rock at ground level. Combined, these spaces gave him just enough oxygen to survive. Without them, he would have suffocated within 20 minutes. Below his body, there is also a small hollow around a rock near the ground, connected to the air pocket at his face by a tiny crack in the snow. He had been breathing through that crack for 20 hours. He is alive, barely. His body temperature has fallen to 22.5 degrees Celsius. Normal body temperature is 37. At this temperature, the heart beats irregularly. The brain is shutting down. His pulse is 35 beats per minute. The resort where the avalanche occurred was in the Arlberg region of Western Austria. The medical team that received him had never seen a case of hypothermia this severe in a living patient. His core temperature was 15 degrees below normal, the equivalent of being frozen from the inside. He is helicoptered to hospital immediately. Doctors begin rewarming him at 1 degree per hour using continuous hemodialysis. It takes 4 hours to bring his core temperature to 29.8 degrees. At 30 degrees, something happens. His eyes open. He looks around the room. He is alive. He later spends days in intensive care recovering from nerve damage in his legs, but he walks out of that hospital. This case was not published in a medical journal until more than 20 years after it happened. He is to this day one of the longest recorded avalanche burial survivals in history. His ski goggles had fallen at exactly the right angle. 1 degree off and he dies. October 13th, 1972. A Uruguayan Air Force plane carrying 45 people crosses the Andes Mountains. On board, a young amateur rugby team, their families, and friends. They are heading to a friendly match in Chile. Nobody is worried. Then the plane clips a ridge. The fuselage breaks apart at 3,664 meters. 12 people die on impact. 23 others are left stranded on a frozen mountain with almost no food, no radio, and no way to call for help. 8 days later, search planes fly over the area. The survivors hear them. They wave frantically, light fires, lay wreckage patterns in the snow. The planes do not stop. From above, the white fuselage against the white snow is invisible. The search is called off. They are officially declared dead. The survivors organize themselves. The fuselage becomes their shelter. They seal the open tail end with luggage and seat cushions. They have almost nothing to eat. They melt snow for water by day. They huddle together for warmth by night. The plane had been carrying the old Christians Club rugby team from Montevideo. Among the survivors is Nando Parado, a 22-year-old player who had been unconscious for 3 days after the crash with severe head injuries. When he wakes, his mother and sister, who were also on the plane, are already dead. For 16 days they hold on. The food runs out within days. They are slowly starving. Then on the night of October 29th, as the survivors are settling into sleep, the mountain moves again. 2 avalanches hit the fuselage in rapid succession. Snow explodes through the blocked tail end and fills the cabin in seconds. In the pitch darkness, everything is chaos. People are hit by moving snow and killed instantly. Others are suddenly submerged in frozen white, unable to move, unable to breathe. 8 people die in the avalanche. 15 survivors are now buried inside a snow-packed metal tube at 12,000 feet in total darkness. They cannot see their hands in front of their faces. They can barely breathe. Someone tries to light a lighter. It barely sparks. That is a sign that the oxygen inside the fuselage is running out. They have minutes. Nando Parado, one of the strongest survivors, finds a metal pole in the wreckage. Nando drives the rod upward through the snow-packed ceiling of the fuselage, push after push, forcing it through solid snow. Then, the resistance changes. Cold air comes rushing in from above. He has broken through to the surface. The hole Nando created is only 10 centimeters wide. It is not much, but it is enough. The survivors take turns breathing near it, rationing the fresh air the way they have rationed everything else. They know they need to dig a larger opening, but first they need to rest and recover enough strength to dig. They spend 3 days buried inside the fuselage before they can dig an exit hole large enough to crawl out. 3 days in frozen darkness. 15 people in a space designed for 8, pressed together with the dead around them. They take turns standing in the center of the fuselage so their feet do not freeze to the floor. They massage each other's hands and feet. They talk. They keep each other awake. They choose again and again to survive. After 3 days, the snow settles enough. They dig an exit tunnel upward, and one by one, 15 survivors crawl out of the buried fuselage into the blinding white daylight of the Andes. Still alive, still trapped, but out. Of the 45 people who boarded that plane, 16 would eventually be rescued, 72 days after the crash. 2 of them, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa, crossed the Andes on foot for 10 days to find help and bring helicopters back. The avalanche alone killed 8. The mountain tried to finish the rest. It failed. March 19, 1755. Bergemoletto, a small village in the western Italian Alps. A catastrophic avalanche buries the village under 18 meters of snow. 22 people are killed. In a stable at the edge of the village, 4 people are buried alive. The 4 people buried in the stable: a woman named Maria, her 11-year-old daughter, her 5-year-old son, and her younger sister. Also inside, a few goats and other livestock. These animals will matter more than anyone can know. The stable does not collapse. The wooden beams hold the weight. This is the difference between life and death. They are in total darkness, just above freezing, sealed inside a wooden room under 18 meters of compacted snow. Maria is a farmer's wife, used to managing resources through harsh alpine winters. She immediately takes stock of their situation. She cannot see anything, but she can feel and hear. The goats are alive. There are chestnuts stored in the stable for the animals. Water is dripping from the ceiling where body heat and animal warmth are creating condensation on the cold wood. Maria immediately takes stock. She feels along the floor in the dark. She finds the goats alive. She finds scattered chestnuts on the floor, stored there before winter. She finds water dripping slowly from the snow above, seeping through cracks in the wood. She has three things that can keep them alive, barely. Above the snow, Maria's husband was outside when the avalanche hit. He survived, and the moment the snow stopped moving, he began to dig. He dug for hours. Other villagers helped him. They found nothing. The villagers dig in shifts for a full week. They bring timbers to shore up the sides of their hole as it goes deeper. They work from dawn until dark each day, but 18 meters of compacted avalanche debris is simply too much. After 7 days of backbreaking work, they have dug down only 3 meters. They would need to dig 6 times deeper to reach the stable. After a week of digging through 18 meters of packed snow and finding nothing, the rescuers give up. The official verdict: everyone in the stable is dead. Maria's husband refuses to believe it completely, but he cannot dig far enough, fast enough, alone. Below the snow, the days pass. The chestnuts run out within 2 weeks. The goats give less milk every day. Meltwater from the snow is the only reliable water source. Maria rations everything. She makes the decisions. She keeps them alive. After 12 days, the boy dies. He is 5 years old. Maria and her sister hold him. They stay in the dark with him, and then they keep going. There is no other choice. Above them, the days pass on the surface, too. The village grieves and moves on. The snow does not melt. Winter holds. Maria's husband goes back to the burial site sometimes, alone, and stands above where the stable is. He does not dig anymore. He just stands there. Spring arrives slowly in the Italian Alps. The temperature rises just enough for the enormous weight of accumulated snow to begin changing. Very slowly, almost imperceptibly, the 18 meters of snow is compacting and settling. Small channels of meltwater begin forming through the layers. This process takes weeks. On the 37th night, Maria's husband wakes from a dream. In the dream, he saw his wife alive, speaking to him. He gets up before the sun rises. He goes back to the burial site. He starts digging again. He cannot explain why. He just starts digging. The spring thaw has begun. Barely, but enough. The snow has settled slightly. His hole goes deeper than it ever has before. And then in the cold silence before sunrise, he stops digging. He raises his hand. He listens. From somewhere below him, something. A voice. Praying. He runs to the village. He wakes everyone. They come running with shovels. They dig toward the sound, following it downward, the snow softening as spring works from above. And on April 24th, 1755, they break through. Maria, her daughter, and her sister survived. They could not walk for weeks afterward. Their muscles had wasted, their eyes were damaged by the sudden light, their bodies severely malnourished. They recovered slowly. The record they set on that mountain in 1755 has never been broken. In over 270 years, no one has survived longer under the snow. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button for more. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and see you in the next one.